So my friend David Medella passed away this last week. So I wanted to tell a story of some of the times that we spent together. He had this thing that he called the London Biennale, and the London Biennale was a performance extravaganza. Anybody could participate. Um, it was a DIY kind of thing, and would come from all over and participate in this performance event. So I met him in sort of the late '90s. He was hanging out at my friend John Duggar's loft in San Francisco, and he immediately invited me to come out and be a part of the London Biennale. He heard about my haircutting performance, electric chair cut, and he wanted me to come out there and do it. So I agreed, and when I got it together, I came out and I went a couple times and did the London Biennale with him. And I think it was the second time we went out, and I think it was maybe 2006, 2005, something like that, maybe 2007. And we first started off in Paris. So the idea is that the London Biennale was not just about London anymore. It was like a sort of worldwide thing. And we were going to start off in Paris, and then we were going to make our way sort of to London from there. And the theme of the show, every year it has another theme. So the theme of the show was A Movable Feast from the Hemingway book, A Movable Feast. So we would get together and have these great lunches and talk. And, sometimes they were in these, cool studios that people had and outdoor spaces and different things like that. And so I went with Heather, my wife, and she would make a salad. And so she made this salad, and every night another thing was added to it. So it was this revolving, this miracle salad that kept going and going. And so she would show up with this bag, and in the bag was a salad. And David said, you are just such a great artist to do the salad piece, And so she didn't really look at it as a piece, but it definitely was a sort of miracle salad piece. So we were there in Paris, and I did a performance at La Belle Vue. And this was a performance space that had once been a school, and it was taken over by the artists, and it was part of this, 68 artists takeover of different things, and they took over the space. And so, David pointed out to me, hey, this has this great history, and, the Situationists and all this. And I was like, well, I didn't know about this. So, I had known a little bit about the Situationists and that sort of thing, but not that much. And so he, let me in on it, and he brought a newspaper from 1968. I don't know how he got this, and this was part of the performance that we did. And I cut his hair, and then I cut a bunch of other people's hair. And so it started with the haircut of David Medella. And so it was going to be a 3-part haircut. So the next part, we were going to go from Paris to Dover, and then from Dover to London. So the trip, so we're going on the cheap. So we're taking the ferry from Paris to London, right? So we have to get in this bus, and we're going all across, France in this bus, and it's just taking forever, and we're going, and I'm a little nervous the whole time because I've got all this stuff with me, and I don't want to get hung up in customs. Here I have all this stuff. I don't want to say that I'm a performer. I don't want to say that I'm an artist doing art shows and I have this artwork. I don't want to get, charged for duties or whatever it is for, transporting or doing work, right? So, I'm kind of nervous about, when are we going to go through customs, right? So we're on this bus, and we're on it, and we're on it, and we're on it, and it's going and going and going. And then we get to this ferry, and we get on the ferry, and it's going forever. And all of the British pensioners are playing cards, and they're drinking, and they're gruff, and it's like, and we're looking out, and, it's a beautiful view, and, Heather has her salad, and we're having a great time, but it's taking a long time. So finally we land in Dover. And, people have told me that Dover is pretty rough and watch yourself there, and, I thought, well, whatever, I'm live in New York. I can handle myself, right? So we finally get to the checkpoint there, immigration, right? And so, I know David. He's told me, you have to look very nice when you're traveling. He wears a special turquoise sweater and buttoned up and a tie, and he's very pulled together. And he's a little guy, and he's older, and he's a Filipino guy, and he's lived in London for years and years and years. He's been part of the London scene from the 70s. So he travels all over the place, right? And so, we're traveling and we're getting close to the checkpoint, and I'm like, Heather, we gotta like kind of split off from David because, I know he's going to proclaim himself as an artist, and, and I have all this stuff and I don't want to pay duties and stuff like that. And so we wiggle our way, a couple people in front of him, 3 people in front of him, and we finally go up to the guy, and he is just letting us have it. What are you doing here? Where did you come from? What do you do for a living? Oh, I cut hair. Your hairdresser. Well, what makes me think that you're not going to come here and try to get a job? And I'm like, oh, we're just on vacation. And he says, well, how did you get the money to come here? And Heather says, well, George Bush gave us a rebate on our taxes, and so we thought we'd take the money and come and spend it here and stimulate your economy. And he starts busting up. Of course, he doesn't like George Bush either. So he's like, okay, come on in. So he lets us in. And so then we meet back up with David, and we're like, oh my gosh, he was so rough with us. We finally told him about the, getting the tax rebate and it's coming to stimulate your economy. And he let us go. And he's like, oh, they just waved me on. They know me here. I'm like, I should have hung out with David, right? So from there, we end up right away. We meet with the Dover Arts people, DAD it's called, and it is Joanne and Claire, and they take us to this huge art show that's going on. And of course, everybody wants to meet David because he's kind of a sort of famous guy around the art scene. He's been around for so long, and he's been doing this fantastic performance thing. And so everybody wants to meet him, and we're showing him. It's like we're kind of famous. We're walking around, and everybody's saying hi, and we're meeting. It's very cool, And so we see a bunch of art, and then, we do our performance the next night. And, it's great. I cut his hair again, and then other performers do things. Poppy Jackson does a great piece. And then the next day, we have to go to the market or something and pick something up. So David and I are walking around, and we're heading over to, Marks and Spencer's or whatever it is. And we pass this big lawn, right? And on the lawn, there's these 2 guys, and they're brawling, and they're skinhead guys, and they've got, suspenders. And I'm like, these, they look like skinheads to me, and they're fighting, and they're all, and I'm like, David, I'm a little nervous for him, I'm nervous for myself, and I'm nervous for him. And I say, David, come on, let's walk across the street. Let's go over here across the street. And he's, oh no, it's okay. It's a rite of spring. David's very poetic. It's a rite of spring. The skinheads are out bashing each other's brains in. And he's, come on, they don't care about us. And so we will walk on by, But David was afraid of nothing, and we could go anywhere. And, he was always at home. And that is one of the great things and something I definitely miss about David. All right.